Movie adaptations of real-life events are never spot on, and people generally accept this. So why are fans up in arms about the changes that were made for the Gran Turismo movie? When it was revealed that PlayStation's most successful series was getting a feature-length film adaptation, both gamers and racing fans were ecstatic. What separates this movie from other video game adaptations, such as Need for Speed, is that Gran Turismo is based on real-life events. The movie follows the story of Jan Mardenborough, a sim racing champion turned world-famous racing driver. The film portrays Jan as a true underdog in the racing scene. Everyone, including his washed-up driving coach, Jack Salter, doubted that video game experience could translate to the real world and allow him to compete with the best of the best.
If you miss a line in the game, you reset. You miss it on the track, you could die.
In reality, even though Jan's skills were indeed questioned, Jack Salter and Danny Moore are fictitious. But that's not the only part of the story that is fabricated, as Jan's tragic crash in 2015 is also misrepresented in the film. With the help of Jan himself, the writers of Gran Turismo took some liberties with the timeline surrounding the crash, and some viewers aren't happy. The film does a relatively decent job of using CGI to portray the incident in 2015 at Nürburgring, when Jan's vehicle took flight at around 125 miles per hour and slammed into the track's fencing over 100 feet away, killing one spectator and injuring many others. However, one glaring alteration was made to the event for the adaptation. Hardcore racing fans will notice that the film's crash and subsequent comeback do not align with Jan's real-life career. The film shows the crash as a wake-up call for Jan to take the sport more seriously and train harder. His hard work would later pay off when he scored an impressive third place at the 24 Hours of Le Mans competition. The problem is that his podium finish was in 2013, 2 years before the crash, so it had nothing to do with his success at the event. Gran Turismo alters the timeline to put the crash first to give Jan a satisfying narrative arc.
I'm not sure if I can do this.
Most people can't. I got a feeling you're not most people.
It's not uncommon to manipulate events or fabricate internal conflict in a biopic to make for a more compelling story. For example, in the Formula movie Rush, famous driver Niki Lauda contemplates retirement after his fiery crash that scarred his face badly. In reality, Lauda claims to have never once entertained the notion of getting out of the driver's seat for good. The reason people are up in arms about the liberties taken by the screenwriters in the timing of the crash is that the event was fatal for one spectator. Many believe that framing the crash as a plot point in Jan's life is disrespectful to the victim and their family. In her film review, London Evening Standard's Charlotte O'Sullivan proclaimed, "Suggesting the incident helped propel Jan to greatness is not only false, it's reprehensible. The family of that spectator have had their worst nightmare turned into a movable feast. Shame on you, Sony." She's not the only one that feels this way, as many other critics and audience members were appalled by this intentional inaccuracy in the film once they discovered the truth. Despite the controversy, Gran Turismo is still performing well at the box office. Although the consensus among critics is that even with the altered timeline, the story isn't very compelling. Jan did more than just provide his story for Gran Turismo. Not only was he a stunt driver for his on-screen counterpart, but he is also credited as a co-producer for the film. Thus, the Formula driver was heavily involved in the making of the film from the planning stage onward. So what does Jan think about the inclusion of the crash? The gamer-turned-race car driver told the Sunday Times Driving, "It's my life. It's part of my story. So I feel it would have been a disservice for the audience for that not to be in there." Jan went on to note that he made a conscious effort to portray the crash as accurately as possible, saying, "It needed to be correct because somebody lost their life in this accident." Although the timing of the crash and hospitalization are skewed in the film, Jan explained that they accurately represent what happened. He said, "It shows as well the deep dark moments of my life when I was in the hospital by myself. How can you rebound and achieve something, achieve greatness off the back of that? And so it had to be in there."